Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Entrepreneur Investor Connection. Today, I'm talking about myself. I'm basically putting myself on the stock market, if that makes sense to you, right? It might not, but the basic idea of human IPO is if you believe in people, you can buy their stock early, and then as it grows, your investment grows. So, right now, Human IPO has decided to use my stock in today's IPO, and I'm on Clubhouse with Milan, who helped me get it there, and I'm with Caesar and anybody else who's interested in having a conversation. You could chat in the chat, or you can jump on Clubhouse and you can have a conversation. So today, basically, I'm on sale in a human stock market, right? So what that means is today you can buy my time at a smaller number than it will be worth later, right? So the idea is I put up my time as a discount right now on human IPO. And let's say in a year, something huge happens where I'm in the news or whatever it is. And now people want to buy my time, that time will change. So, that value will change. So if you ended up buying my stock today at $100 and in a year it's worth 200, then your value changed just like if you bought any other stock. But what I really like about human IPO though is the idea of helping people create what they want to create, right? It's kind of like investing people and what they want to do, right? So right now, by you investing, it's not like I'm making $1 million off this right now, but the idea is eventually I can get to the point where the community will invest in what I'm doing just as a person, and then the value of my time growing will give them more value, right? So imagine if one day I create another Facebook or something, right? And now how much do you think it will cost to spend an hour with Mark Zuckerberg, right? Probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? But if you were able to buy his time for $100 when he was in Harvard, you would make all of that money. Of course, it takes time, like any investment, right? So you invest early, and then over time, that investment grows. And already people are buying shares of my time. So I'm here with Milan, who helped me understand it, and he did it. And I wanted to ask him some questions about how his went, and then just so people could understand how it works. So Milan is Milan Cheeks. I know you can't see him on the videos, but I'll put his links in the descriptions. Um, but Milan, you did human IPO how long ago?
Don't remember the exact date, but I think it was like a few months ago.
Okay.
Max 4 months ago.
So and when you did it, what were you thinking about it when they, because I saw it when you were actually the first person to show it to me. So when you saw it, what did you think as soon as you saw the platform?
I thought, it's kind of like it was like you're buying someone's time, meaning like their life, until I got more into detail on what they really meant, right? So I thought like they owned you, but that's not the case. It's kind of like
that's funny.
You're basically putting your consulting time out there and saying, hey, I'm doing this in this field, and I'm going to charge this right now, but as I start getting bigger and bigger, my time's going to get more expensive because I'm getting more successful at that particular field.
Yes, exactly. That's basically the idea in a nutshell, right? Like you are investing in this person's time, and right now when you go first, like most IPOs, it's the lowest it's going to be when it comes out, right? So the idea is if you would have invested, I think I saw, if you look on the stock market of the Apples of the world and everything, there are points where Apple was 50 cents, right? Imagine if you bought Apple shares at 50 cents and now it's worth hundreds of dollars, or same with Tesla and all that, right? So the idea now is buying a person's time helps them do what they need to do, right? So imagine over time, I can run an IPO every year and make the salary I need to pay my bills, right? Off that IPO. And then I just got to give people that time and I pay my bills for the year. And then I can really work on whatever my main thing in society I'm trying to do the rest of the year. That's pretty powerful if you think about it, right? Like most people don't need millions of dollars to live, especially when you're trying to do stuff in the community, right? Imagine coming from a community like I come from the Bronx. If before I had a family and everything, it wouldn't cost me much to live. So imagine in one IPO, I can make that for the year, and then I can do what I need to do and not worry about money, right? And that's a huge opportunity. So with you, Milan, when you did it, how'd you think about giving your time? Like the way you explained it to me, explain it to the audience. How do you see human IPO helping people like us?
Yeah, I mean, it's twofold, right? Helping you fundraise for your projects, and then also giving you value of your consulting time, right? That's like your market price. So if you're talking to anybody and they're like, "Hey, I want to learn," especially you, Miguel, like, I'm a startup. I want to learn how I can be investable, right? And you're like, all right, well, go on Human IPO and redeem my time. So you're basically going to go buy your time for $100. And once they do, Human IPO is going to hit you up and go, okay, when are you available, right? They're going to ask you for 3 times. Then they're going to ask the person that redeemed for 3 times. Once they match the time up, they'll actually send you a Zoom link with the meeting. And then you guys go on that Zoom link for a half hour or to an hour, depending on what they bought.
What they bought. Like somebody just bought half hour of my time already, right? So now whenever that person wants, I will spend a half hour with them, right? But the idea is redeem. Say it again.
If they redeem it. If they redeem it. Hold your time.
If they redeem it, which this person is smart. He's playing like the stock market. He's buying shares of everybody's time, but he's probably not going to use it. He just is saying one of these people is going to explode, and one day that time that I just bought is going to be worth a lot more, just like the stock. If you're basically buying a stock in that human's time, which is pretty interesting. And like you said, most people might think off the bat, wait a minute, so that means I have to work for this person or work. You're getting the money up front, right? Like, how does it work? Like when they buy that time, how does it work for the person receiving?
It goes right into your dashboard. So when you log in, you go into your dashboard, you'll see market cap, you see total raise, you'll see time on market, meaning how much time you put on the market, because you can actually take your time off, right? So let's say every round you get 10 hours, but you can say, I only want to put 3 hours for this round, right? Okay. Or I want to only put 3 hours on the market for now. Once that sells out, I'll put some more in there, right? So you can justify out of that 10 hours how much you want to put in there. You can put the whole 10 or just an hour or whatever you want, right? So right now I have 2.53 left on the market.
Okay.
Right? And then once that's bought up, I'm sold out.
Do you end up buying your own time too, just in case, like it does? Like, I guess, how does that work?
I don't think you can buy your own time, but you can take it off the market. So that's kind of like you basically buying your own time because you're just allotting it for yourself.
Got it. So, but the idea is really to give back in a way, right? So the idea is, okay, right now, I give a lot of time to people, right? But imagine if it was like someone is buying this lot of time for me, and then they can give it to someone that really needs it when I'm too busy to spend time with people. I have to give these 10 hours to the people who paid for them, right? But when they use them, that's up to them. So if today it's worth, like we said, today, if it's worth $100 today, and I put that up there as that at the number, that's the number they suggest you start at. Let's say next year it's worth $250. The people who bought it today, they have $150 in value earned, or they can just use the time, right? They can say, all right, Miguel, I want to cash in on that time for the hour, and I'm going to spend the hour with them working on whatever they want. There's people, right, that 10 years ago, they would have worked with you for $10, $50, $20 an hour, whatever it is. And right now, they're charging $1,000 an hour to spend an hour with you, right? And I've seen literally, if you look around the personal branding world, you will see people jump and make those jumps. So what this company is doing is kind of betting on that and helping people get there earlier, right? It's kind of like equity crowdfunding for startups, but for people, right? Like the idea is, okay, eventually they believe the people they put on this platform are going to do big things. So they're saying right now, if you're willing to, can you give 10 hours of your time? And as you grow in popularity or in doing amazing things, the value of your time will grow. So everybody makes money in that process. And you still would be giving back to the community by giving that time to the people that needed it. But the people that paid for it would actually make money for buying it early. So by investing in you early and giving you that money early, they're helping you get there faster. So in turn, they're making money back from that value, which is super freaking interesting. I mean, we're heading in this time right now where creating value is like something I wish I understood when I was younger, right? Like when I got out of school, I just wanted to create skills. That's how I thought of creating value, right? Get the most skills you can and charge the most for those skills. But now what I'm learning after many times of seeing stuff like this come around is the skill side is great, but the true thing is gaining value, right? So if I had to go back to my history, right? When I got out of school in 2000-ish, I was working as a developer making people's websites. And I remember I was working on this company and I was building websites. I built like J-Lo's first clothing website, Russell Simmons' first clothing website. And the company I was working for, they were giving me a good salary. And I remember one day going into a magazine shop and I saw the company on. They were like in an article. They had sold that company for $150 million, and I was building the websites when they first started. Right? Imagine if I had said, I want to invest in this company. Can instead of paying me, can I give you a percentage of my salary so I own a part of this company? And let's say I would have owned 1% of that $150 million, which is what they sold it for. I would have had 1.5 million, right? But that is not how I was thinking back then. But it is how I'm thinking now. And everything is starting to put itself in the place where people can do that now. And human IPO is a version of it for people, right? Like for me, if you believe that in 10 years, I'm going to have done more things than I've done right now, the value of that time is going to grow. So either you can use it or sell it to someone else who's more willing to pay for it, right? So like, let's say in 10 years, my time is worth 1,000 and you'd rather make the 900 than use the time. That's up to you. But it's now it's imprinted. And like Milan was saying when he first was telling me about it, this company may go on the stock market, right? And eventually, if they go on the stock market, then it's kind of like you're trading your time on the public stock market. So that's very, very interesting if you think about it. I know it's mind bending. And the reason why I'm saying everything is aligning for it right now is look at cryptocurrency, right? What is cryptocurrency? It's the same idea. You are buying into Bitcoin right now early, Ethereum right now early. Then what's happening around those things? Things like NFTs, decentralized finance, the new money, the new banking, the new everything is being created right now, and we can own shares of it early. And that's where creating value, right? You can create value by owning the Bitcoin or Ethereum. You can create value by owning an NFT of some artist that you love, and that art is worth value, plus the money that you're using to buy it is worth value. And now with this human IPO thing, I just keep seeing like I'm seeing the world shift into value creation over time value, right? So like if I was going to work for somebody for per hour, that's different than owning a part of the upside, right? So part of what I like about this human IPO thing and why I'm like making content around it is I want people to start thinking like that. What am I doing today to create value that I could leave for my family, right? So when I told you right now, human IPO, like that's where it's a little different, right? Like if I die, I don't know how much my stock is. How does that work, Milan? Do you know like what happens like after you're gone with your IPO with your the stock?
Not really sure. I know they did say it somewhere. I just forgot where, so I can't really reference it. But
Right.
Something does happen. Just forgot what.
All right. I gotta look into that. But with other things, the value grows, right? So think about what NFTs right now. There's a whole thing going on with it, and I just published my first one. But what I'm thinking about it is, it's going to be a ledger of what you've done in your work, in your life, right? So I believe by me putting up more NFTs, it's going to grow my value to human IPO because I think most people don't even know the stuff I've done, right? Because I haven't even put a lot of it out there. But like once I put up the design of the first J-Lo clothing website that I did, that goes on the blockchain and it's history, right? And then that's easy to look up. And if you look up and you say, oh, wow, I didn't know Miguel did all this stuff. Now the value of my time should go up, right? And then the more things I do, which there's a lot of things I'm working on, the more that value will go up. So it's just this human IPO thing just brings it back to everything I'm trying to do from now on. This is where we are with this pandemic, right? A lot of people lost their jobs. People are worried about how they're going to make money, this and that. When you come out of this, What I believe, every time there's a big down in the economy and all that, there's people that become billionaires, right? The people that do that are the ones that figure out how to create value around what's going on with them, right? So in 2008, the people that lost their homes and stuff, there were people that created businesses that are now filthy rich because they created something of value outside of what they were doing before the pandemic, or I mean, not pandemic, the economy collapsed. So now with the pandemic, we're in another time like this, right? So this human IPO thing, I just see it as another way of creating value for people. Like, I know the people in this room right now, I won't blow you up, but there's some people in my clubhouse right now that are doing amazing things. And I know that people will pay for their time, right? So if there's any questions, if anybody wants to ask questions, I won't put any pressure on anybody on Clubhouse because nobody can see but us. If you want to ask questions, any questions, or anyone in any audience that I have here. No questions? All right.
No,
so,
I got a cool question.
All right, go ahead, go.
So when let's say right now your consulting fee is $100 an hour, right? I buy that up, I hold on to it. So like 10 years down the line, your thing is $100,000, and somebody wants to, $100,000, and somebody wants to do pay for that. How would I take that $100 IPO that I own from you, that thing, $100 that I own, and turn it into 99,900? You know what I'm saying?
So human IPO, right? Milan, that's how it works. And thanks, Rick, for that is an awesome concept. So Milan, that is how it works, right? It gets traded within human IPO. So the person will pay in human IPO the 100,000, and you would get that 909, whatever it is, right?
Yeah, you would put it for sale for 99,000, right? Well, not 99,000. So it's really 99,000 you put it for sale for, but you bought it at 100, right? So when it does reach 100,000, that's what you're going to sell it as.
So you set it as the buyer?
Yeah, you can, because you can buy the stock and then you can put it right back in the market for different sell prices. So if you think, okay, it's going to go up to 1,000, I'm going to sell this hour that I just bought for 1,000.
So it's not that
1,000, someone buys it.
So it's not that like my value goes up in the stock market. It's what people are willing to sell it for? Or is it both?
It's going up by purchases, going up by what you're doing, things like that. So it's going up based on what people are buying it. But when a purchaser buys your stuff, so let's say Caesar buys your time at $100, and I'll give 100,000 using the example, right? Caesar's now going to take his stock, if he bought 1 hour, and put it for sale for 99,000, either lower than market price or exactly what market price, because then another purchaser will come in and buy the hour from Caesar.
Got it. Makes sense. So it's just like stock. It's just like a stock, but basically now we are the stock, right? At the end of the day, you're betting on the fact that I may go off and do bigger things, and then my value of my time will change and get exponentially more valuable. And that happens with us pretty much no matter what, right? Like if you think about it, like when you were 20 years old and now whatever age you are now, the value of your time is different. I don't know if it keeps going up forever, but I do believe the more you do and the busier you become because of all the stuff you're working on, the more your time gets valued, right? So I can see it as a way also for like right now, the things I'm working on right now. If I can sit with Zuckerberg or something like that right now, I know it'll advance me years on things that I'm thinking about and trying to do, right? Because I'll be like, all right, here's my questions. How'd you do this? How'd you do that? Right? And that value of that hour, I could probably make millions of dollars off what that person tells me, right? So right now, maybe not as much, but maybe in 10 years after you see some of the stuff I've done, you may feel like, man, an hour with Miguel is going to be worth a lot of money to me because I know I can make it based off the stuff I'm going to ask him, right? And it's the same idea, right? Just like right now you would buy Tesla thinking Elon Musk eventually is going to make that double the stock price, right? Bitcoin. Right now you may be buying Bitcoin, or you may be scared of buying Bitcoin. You may think it's too high, 50,000, whatever it is, I don't even know. But if you're people like me and other people in crypto, you believe it's going to go to 500,000. So you're really thinking that's not a bad investment right now, right? So, but again, It depends on the time horizon. Most people think it's going to take 10, 20 years before that happens, but it's up to you to think of the investment as a good one or a bad one based on how long of a time horizon you're looking at. With me, I look at this human IPO thing, and it's almost hard not to see it going up in value. Like, so Milan, you told me yours went up pretty instantly too, based on a few things you were doing, right?
It's just people buying, But again, it's going to go up regardless of human IPO because they're smart. Let's say even from a VC standpoint, they're getting a lot of good VCs on there.
Oh, that's good.
Got the guy like Flow Ventures on there now. So people that want to talk to him about their startups, they can just purchase his time and
that makes sense. That makes sense. So, so if you're a venture capitalist, here's a big thing. It's very hard to get a meeting with those people. Very hard, right? People would pay for it if they could, but they can't. Those people are like, I'm good. I don't need to meet with you. I got enough people. But if you bought that guy's time, like right now, let's say when he IPO'd first and it was $100, you have a guaranteed meeting with that person down the line whenever you want, right? So that is valuable, right? If you said, all right, I believe this person is going to have $1 million, $100 million fund in 5 years, but his time is 100 right now, or her time is 100 right now. Let me buy that time and bank it and maybe use it when I really need it, right? But or when other people want to use that hour, they're going to be willing to pay a certain amount based on how much of a fund that person has. If that makes sense, let me know. If it doesn't, anywhere.
Another point too. So let's say I could give Caesar, for example. Caesar's doing paparazzi, right? So let's say Caesar transitioned to doing interviews, and now he's like, all right, I'll make something called a dark room, and then get celebrities on human IPO. You can buy their time and get them to do interviews. So it's like,
ooh, that's really good. There's celebrities on there?
Not yet that I've seen, but I've been focusing on getting a bunch of celebrities on there.
But it makes sense, right? It makes sense. Like the idea of, there used to be something like this where they would say something to you for 15 minutes, you pay, and then they're like, or like 5 minutes. So there was this thing where you pay a certain amount and they'll record a video just for you, but it's going to be like 5 seconds, right? So in a way, similar idea of you're buying that person's time, but in a small lot, right? So the idea, I think it was like $500. They would basically, or whatever, depending on what the celebrity you needed, they would give you like, oh, we got the art and design connection in here. Oh, you gotta mute yourself. All right. So basically the celebrity would sell their 5-second slots, basically, and they'll be like, all right, I'll shoot you a video where I say, hey, whatever you want them to say, right? Like, oh, Miguel's awesome, right? Or Caesar, you're awesome. They would do that, but you would pay, let's say, $100 for them to do it, but that's only 5 seconds of their time. So they sell enough of those, it's a lot. But it keeps coming back to this idea of your time becoming more valuable and then making money from it. In that way, only the celebrity really benefited. With this, the community can benefit from the human IPO idea, right? So, for instance, let's say, and there's going to be some pretty cool news coming out about me. That's why I did it, and they fast-tracked me, because it's like a waiting list, right, Milan? Like, I don't know how long the waiting list, but once you
tell 500 plus waiting list right now. Yeah.
So there's a 500 person waiting list right now, and based on what I'm about to do, they put me in the front. So you're gonna want to invest in my time because I'm about to not have none. And I think it's a very, very cool idea. Anybody with questions? I know, King, you just came in. Do you have any questions about what this human IPO thing is?
I want to give a shout out to Danny back there.
Yeah, Art and Design Connection. How we do it. I just got back into art this week too, so I might become a famous artist too one day.
No, after Milan brought it up in one of our conversations aforementionedly, I definitely checked out the human IPO, signed up, and I'm just seeing how I can leverage it for my industry, which is infrastructure. But I think it's an awesome idea, and I'm looking forward to learning more about it.
Yeah. I think you. Oh my God. Do you want to tell the people what you do? Remember, I'm live everywhere, so if you may not want to.
Yeah. My man, Mr. Worldwide, right here.
I'm globally televised.
No, I'm a live lobbyist for the infrastructure industry.
So
kind of an influencer in the construction management, architecture, engineering space.
So I won't use his real name. I don't know if you want to use your real name because it's not.
Not right now.
Okay.
All
right.
You know
what I'm saying? All right. So I won't use your real name, but my friend here, King on Clubhouse, King with 2 eyes, he is a lobbyist. You know how much it costs to talk to lobbyists? Like, if you bought a lobbyist time, that is so valuable. It's crazy. So all right. So any final thoughts, Milan, on how people should think about this idea of human IPO, whether it's buying my time, putting their own time up? Dan, you got any questions?
Oh no, I'm just listening. My bad. I'm figuring out how this whole thing works.
All right, I'll put you on mute.
Yeah. I mean, I would say think about the future, right? Because I see it growing so many different ways, even from like, let's say, issuers being able to pay out dividends. So let's say you own a certain amount of stock of a person, and that person can basically say, "I'll pay you this many dividends for owning my stock," which
so that's like value based on how much money I make a year. That's what.
Yeah, I mean, it could be valued on anything technically.
That's awesome.
It's kind of like, let's say someone bought half your time, like they bought 5 hours or something. And then, like, if you hold that time, I'll pay you a percentage of dividends every year or every quarter, whatever.
What, like to not have to spend it? Like I'll give.
No, well, because that's how a stock works, right? So certain stocks pay you a dividend, so it should allow, and I think they may do it. I'm not sure what they're going to do with that, but it should allow certain issuers to do that because some people do grow fast. So let's say one of our companies blow up and now we do have a lot of money and we can give out dividends. We should be able to do that and reward the people that believe in us in the beginning.
So I'm gonna pull up. I don't even know the URL actually. I need to do a better.
King, if you can hit me up on Instagram or Twitter, I can get you fast tracked on Human IPO.
So I'm gonna share my screen if anybody wants to see the Human IPO page. I mean, I'm on YouTube, of course, so the Clubhouse crew. You guys can check that out later if you want. But the idea is here, you basically break down what you've done, why you're a good stock to buy, right? And then it says right here, view the dashboard. You can see there's people are buying my time already. But I won't show that. I don't know if people want to know. So the idea though is pretty cool. I like it. Yeah, so Milan, I was asking you before, like, what do you think I should do next with my human IPO? Okay, I just did a live. I'm gonna put it everywhere. Any other advice for somebody doing a human IPO?
Stay active with human IPO. I would definitely use the newsfeed feature. Let people know on the community what you're doing. If you have a news article that comes out, put it on there. If you did a partnership with a company, anything new that's news,
put it up there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know. All right, I'm glad I asked you that because I did not know that. Rob, what's up, man? So yeah, I think it's an awesome idea. So go buy my time if you think it's gonna grow. Any other questions about anybody in the audiences anywhere?
Yeah. So Milan, how do you value someone's growth? I guess that's the question, right? Like, if you can keep it simple, stupid, like you're talking to a 3-year-old, like how do you, a person that, because I think it makes sense, I guess, in my mind, if you're a celebrity or you're on the come up, I'll say you're like a rapper that's gonna, like, up and coming, I'm buying your time, you're gonna be, Quavo in 10 years, right? But so that makes sense. But like in our realms, like, there's people that actually produce things, right? Like, Danny's an artist, right? So he produces illustrations. So
that makes sense.
How does that work with someone that produces something, right?
Do you get the time for production of the thing, or is it only advice?
That's up to him, right? But it's mostly advice. He can do it if he wants to put his time into that if he wants, but normally it's just advice telling him how to do that illustration or if it's Quavo, how to become the next Quavo.
Yeah, because I mean, if people wanted to take an hour of his time and pay more for it later, makes sense, I guess. but I think it should be more used for advice. Like, I don't know if, unless this is like Picasso, right? Like, all right, Picasso, give me an hour. Just do anything on a paper and I'm going to take it. I'm going to be the only one to have that. That could be worth more than the hour, right? That could be kind of crazy.
Yeah, but I think that's what goes into more of like now you're making people do physical actions.
It's like slavery. That's like slavery.
Yeah, it gets slavery really quick, right? So
no slavery.
Picasso, what the hell?
Yeah.
So what the point is basically like advice. So you really want like Reno to be able to talk to another artist about what paintbrushes he uses or what design, platforms he uses on his computer, stuff like that. That will help that particular artist get better. Not so much of have him do some physical work,
It makes sense because the overall idea of this is the personal brand, right? Like you're showing what your personal brand is worth right this second, or you putting it as a discount. Then over time, by you personal branding yourself and showing all the things that you're doing, the value of your time will grow, right? So it's about the value of your personal brand, right? That's what's pretty cool about it, because I don't think enough people fully understand how we are living in one of the greatest times ever for this, right? Like literally, you can put yourself out there, be on Clubhouse all day, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you want to be, and be growing your your personal brand. And then over time, the value of that changes, and not just in your hours, but the value of your products, the value of your services, anything, right? So again, I like what I liked about Human IPO was it puts me in the mindset of the value of me, right? Okay, I got to grow my own value now. And of course I had to before Human IPO, but now understanding it, I'm like, all right, if I grow my value to a certain amount, I may be able to live off a yearly IPO, right? How does it work? Do you keep doing it? Can you keep doing it?
Yeah, you can keep doing so it's like 10 out of 500, right? Mm-hmm. So you can do 10-hour rounds. So your first round is going to be 10 hours. Once you sell out, you can pick and choose if you want to do a second round. Once you do, you can do it again and keep going. So you get to 500. And I'm not sure what happens when you get to 500 because obviously no one has yet.
Sure, so early.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's something that will happen. I just haven't, talked about that part yet.
Yeah, 500 hours is a lot though, right? Like if you're giving away 500 hours, like man, that should take you a few years to give away 500 hours. But it makes sense. I get it. The idea is, let's make the math easy. Let's say, and of course I know nobody lives like this, but whatever. Let's say it only costs me $5,000 to live a year, right? And I have 10 hours at $500 per hour. I basically pay my whole year salary off those 10 hours. I know it's going to change, but let's say that number goes to 20,000, right? And people are willing to pay it. And 10 hours of 20,000, that's 200,000, right? Like
it should be startup though, like, right? So it's like if you have a startup, you're like, it's going to cost me 50,000 to really build a startup. You should tell people that in the community or even your investors to let them know, instead of doing this equity crowdfunding, you really believe in me, right? Most people when they invest, they believe in the founder really more than the company.
That's
right?
true. That is true. Yeah. That is true. The big thing though, then I would be devil's advocate here is, let's say I fail, right? The startup fails. Is my time more valuable after that? Of course, I know as an entrepreneur and investor that it is, but will most people know that? Like the learning of a failure is super valuable.
As you're doing your personal brand, you should still be growing in that field no matter what. Even if you do fail, right? Like you're saying, why should you not have that knowledge than a person that didn't even start it, right? Like you should have way more than that.
No, actually, to me, it's more valuable. I want to know why people failed, so I don't fail, right? Like, tell me what you did wrong, so I don't do that, right? So in a way, it is still valuable, right? So yeah, I guess it's a really, really super interesting time in this world. I'll tell you right now, the things that if I were you, I would be paying attention to is Human IPO. I would just go study it. Not saying you have to buy my time. That's on you. People are buying it already. The idea of it is build value for yourself, right? So that means anything you do, think about how is this building value? Because eventually I'm either going to sell it or I'm going to use that value, right? So things like what we're talking about, Bitcoin and Ethereum, there's ways to just get interest off that money, right? Eventually you get to a point where you're getting interest and living off interest, right? This is a similar idea, right? Where there may be a time where for a few hours a year, I pay for my entire need of money for the whole year. Then imagine how that opens up the ability to really do the things that you want to be doing, right? Sometimes we got to do 5-10 hours or something we don't want to do to pay our bills, right? And imagine being in a situation where that is not needed because you've built so much value on other things. That's where I'm trying to go, and that's what I'm really trying to educate people on, with all these different opportunities. And whenever I do one, I'm definitely going to create content around it. Any other questions about human IPO or anything I've said? Let me know in any of the places I'm at. All right, go ahead.
So if quick question. So if I want to buy like Miguel's time, do I just log on to this human IPO, or you guys set up an account? How does that process work?
I'm pretty sure you're gonna have to sign up. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you have to sign up for an account, and then you'll just have like a buyer account pretty much, and then you can go buy anyone's time at Miguel's time.
Yeah, so there's a lot of big people on there. Like I was looking around, there's like NASA scientists on there. There's venture capitalists. There's business leaders. There's people on there. I think, but of course the hours are not set low like mine. But the idea of maybe like if you're in a business where you're like, man, I'm really struggling to figure this out, but this person knows everything about it. If I had an hour of that person's time, it would save me years. That might be worth paying a good amount, to do it, right? So that's where it's very interesting. My URL is humanipo.app. I'm gonna just put it in the chat. I guess just search Miguel Sanchez pretty much on there, and you'll find me. But when you go, you can search other people. You can see all the people that are available to invest in, pretty much invest in their time.
Does this share some similarities with like Patreon, would you say, at all?
So Patreon is a little bit more like a subscription support, and it is similar, I would say, because these people are willing to give you a small amount per month, but that value doesn't grow, right? So if let's say your Patreon is $10 a month, I'm giving you $120 a year. Maybe 2 years from now, it changes, and now you charge $25. You're still paying out every month, versus if someone bought your time right now for $100, and then in 5 years it's worth $1,000, they make $900, right? Instead of costing them money, they're gaining in the value of you. That's where I see the major difference. And anybody else, Milan, how would you answer that question?
Yeah, it's completely different because one's subscription based and one's stock, right? The subscription is just Patreon, but then with the stock, again, it goes up and down and it gains in value. So I would say it's completely different when it comes to those two.
But it's still a way of support. Why I think it's similar is what you're taking it to, Reno, is your community is supporting you through Patreon, right? The difference is they're supporting you in human IPO with some upside, right? Versus Patreon, they're giving you that money. The upside is the value of whatever you're giving them in the Patreon, right? They may enjoy that or not. I mean, they may get value out of that or not, but they're more just wanting to support you. With this, the idea is you will get a financial reward by supporting a person you believe in. That's super interesting, because they tried it with sports. Okay. They tried it with sports a few years ago, and then it got into some weird space because it was like athletes were willing to give, I remember there was like a football player from San Francisco. He gave like 10% of his future earnings for like $50 million right now. The problem is, what if that guy doesn't want to play football anymore? What are you going to do? You can't force him to play football. That's slavery. So this is where this idea kind of changed. And human IPO, what they're saying now is different. You're committing to 10 hours, not to playing football for the rest of your life and getting concussions, right? So where you have the ability to say, all right, I'm willing to give 10 hours of my time. That value may shift over the years, or people can buy it up right now and use it right now. And that is super interesting. So any other questions from anybody? Anywhere? If not, I'm going to end it. We've been going for a while. I also suggest anybody watching this anywhere or listening, Clubhouse is on fire right now. I would be looking into NFTs, cryptocurrency, equity crowdfunding. These are all very similar ideas. You're by investing in things early and people early, you can make a lot of money. But you have to learn the game. You have to start investing time in understanding all this stuff, because you could invest in the wrong things. But part of where I believe is all connected is what we're really doing is investing in ideas and people, right? And if you win, you win. But most of the time, you're helping a person that's really trying to do something amazing get closer, right? Like, for instance, I invested in this woman named Arlen Hamilton. She had an equity crowdfunding. She's a Black woman, lesbian investor, right? And she invests in Black women, lesbian, Black and brown, Latino, everything. She uses this money to invest in startups, and she's very successful. She raised an equity crowdfund for people to invest in companies with her. So I gave her money. I put in her equity crowdfund. I don't know if I'll ever make that money back, but I didn't invest it because of that. I invested it because I know she's going to invest it in other minorities and people, underrepresented people. So part of it is like, and that's the same thing with Bitcoin, Ethereum, equity crowdfunding. I believe in these ideas and I want to see them happen. So I'm going to put money in hoping that they happen. And if it works, I will get a reward. But if not, I still try to help things that I believe need to be done, right? That's how you got to look at this stuff. You got to look at these people and say, oh, I like what this person is working on. I want to help them get there. Maybe I make money on it. But if not, society will be better if they get anywhere closer than they are, right? And that's why I invested in hers. I don't know if I'll ever make the money, but I do know that she's going to invest that money into somebody who needs it, that is really good at what they're doing, that I don't know, right? So that's where this whole thing is going. And I think it's an amazing time for all of us entrepreneurs, artists, investors to really educate ourselves, because we can really power the future with stuff like this. So I think I'm going to end it there. Thank you for everybody who came to the Clubhouse, to the YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all the places I'm at. And I'm definitely going to go on again probably tomorrow. So look out for that. I'm probably going to talk more about NFTs tomorrow. So thank you, everyone who's watched and who has listened.